All right, hang on a minute. Oh,
Okay.
put this shit down, because I'm gonna make it wrong. I think I worked it, Raz. I think I worked it, bro. What's
You
up?
did it?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I got rid of the jazz. I chilled things out. First of all, I gotta apologize because, bro, you can't see my face. I haven't configured this so that you can see my face. It's a work in progress. So he's just looking at the back of my hand, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Either that, or if you ever see me look to my left, it's Twitter. So my ADHD mind may not be as focused as you want me to be.
so you came here for the podcast, but you're just gonna go and do something else, bro. Been 2 seconds, I can't even get your attention.
And then if you ever see this, I'm not listening to you. I'm just kidding. I'm closing it.
No.
I'm closing it. For you, I'm closing it.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Bro, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the first episode. It's simple. It's down to earth. It's a podcast literally about the people that are on the show, like you. And you and I work together. So I figured this was the perfect place to start. First of all, are you wearing pants? Because when you woke up, you said, I don't have any pants on. And then people now
I said I barely had pants on. It's not that I didn't have pants on, but I do have pants on.
Will you stand up for us?
Quick pants check. See? It's like sweats.
Oh, shit.
They're the Basil ones, the FlyQuest pants. They're the most comfortable sweatpants ever, which was dangerous, which meant I could have stayed in bed a little longer.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to wake you up, but hey. It's 9:30. You should be up anyway. You should be seizing the day.
I absolutely should. My biggest problem is I want to play more League of Legends, and it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna have any sleep if I keep going.
But then if you wake up early, you can do the Broxer approach. You know, Broxer wakes up like at the brink of dawn. That dude's streaming at 7 a.m. Europe time.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Every time I wake up and he's streaming, I'm like, at least in North America, I'm not anywhere near highly low, but like North America, every high elo player or like pro is like, morning queue is the worst queue. You're getting the worst level of games possible. Me, I should wake up in the morning more because, you know, we're getting to that age where we need to stretch a bit.
Yeah, you're like 33, 34 now, no?
33. Let's not add an age, all right? Let's not add a year like that.
Dude, you're also old. You're like Venius's age, you know? You're getting on.
How old are you?
I'm 30, bro. I'm only 30. I'm
only 30. Dude, you're basically me. Calm down there.
I'm not. I'm you. 3 years ago, which is almost LPL age. Hang on, wait. It's 2026. No. Fuck, you left LPL like 2020, so never mind.
Yeah, I left pretty early.
So, as will become tradition in the show, I thought I'd start off with your drink of choice. Now, that's what I'd like to say, because every guest that comes on, I want to, you know, kind of share like a moment with them, like a drink. I don't have Bailey's or a Tia Maria or Kahlua, or I've got vodka. So his favorite drink is an espresso martini, or at least one of them. And so I put it, that's what I came out with.
Yes, like pretty much. Okay, so when I first came to Australia, fucking Spawn, bro. Like Spawn was the type of guy where he's like, hey, you know, if you're coming onto the right team, do you drink? He's like, I guess I'm starting to, you know, a little bit. And it's like, great, because we're borderline alcoholics. And then you go to the Peg Leg, which is the bar that they had right next to the Riot studio and everything. And the first thing everyone like gets is either the business, which is like this honey sweet kind of alcoholic beverage, or an espresso martini. And then they just start going crazy. So I have right now tea because it's 9:30 in the morning. But
oh shit!
If you're going crazy,
I mean, dude,
you're going crazy.
Are you gonna have a drink with me at 9:30 in the morning? You can have
I got some Jack Daniels, man. I got the big stuff.
Holy, like it's 9:30. It's 9:30. Okay.
I just need a cup for it.
Bro, you're getting
maybe at the end of the show.
Yeah, maybe for you it might be 11 or something. I guess that's less egregious.
Yeah, maybe.
it's all morning drinking. You had no cup neither.
True. Or I could put it in this tea. Spice it up a bit.
You could have a American tea. I don't know if that's a thing. Because like you have Irish coffee, right? You put
Oh, that's true.
Jamison in coffee. You put JD in tea.
You know what? That's a vibing business decision right there.
Oh crap! You just started it, man. You should coin that. That's gonna grow fast.
I like it.
But anyway,
hey, you can take it. It's not copyrighted yet.
I'm sorry. I don't have any of the ingredients. But cheers. You know.
Hey, cheers. Thank you.
Chat, cheers to you as well. Thank you for joining in. Now, just a quick synopsis, so I don't, so people aren't like, "What the fuck? He's doing another thing." Essentially, I just want to get to the nitty gritty about people's lives. And Raz is someone who, if you guys don't know, we worked together for only a year. Actually, it was only a year. It felt like only a long year, time. But
it felt forever. It actually felt like forever. It actually did.
It's probably because living in China, I think, is, I don't know. Time goes slowly when every day is a challenge, right?
It did, and the challenge of our workplace was quite a lot. But yeah, that's probably what it was. And I was a jaded motherfucker back then, bro.
You were. I could tell you were so ready to get out. Like, I got there and I was like, okay, there's two people kind of running this ship on the caster side. It's Raz and Clement Chu. And I was like, Raz was like consistently keeping levelness of, I don't know, the product. And like, no, like it'd be better if we do this. And then Clement was always like, product side, like, I don't know. You guys came from different angles, and it was like two people. It was like people in a divorce trying to mediate for the children. Oh man,
that was fun stuff, though.
No, it was good stuff. So yeah, we've worked together for a while, at least a year. We've also done international together. We haven't casted together, which on international stage, which bugs me a bit because I think your strongest talent, is obviously your personality. As I was watching LCS last night, I think it was. Yeah, it was last night. And you just go on a rampage on desk. And that's why I feel like as a caster, you go so much harder because you're unleashed. But maybe that's why they won't let you near the cast, because you just...
There's also... we just have so few teams. We have so few teams, so few games. So a lot of the times it's like, I'm fine. It is what it is.
You're fine. But will you cast at some point? Like, will they put you in front of the mic?
I'm sure. I'm always confident about it. As long as I'm like consistently putting out good stuff. Like, I think the funny thing is I know that my weakness sometimes can be like the hosting slash like interviewing stuff, because my entire career has not been around that. So it's just on me to like kind of work at it. And it's been good these days. I've been enjoying it, and also the desk is always fun because you can literally just do whatever the hell you want. So like the vision around that, I feel like I can go further than on cast necessarily. But yeah, I love casting. Casting is always fun, always fun. But we have some incredible casters, and so if the opportunity arises, I'm sure that happens.
You do, but for now you're playing that tri/quad hosting role where you all kind of have a piece of it as well. Now, Raz did cast, for the context as well in chat. If you go back to 2019 LPL, and I mean, hang on, did you ever cast LCS, or have you been desk since you got there?
I've casted LCS at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But you also, I mean, we'll go through your history. I actually want to start like way back with as much as you're comfortable telling me, because I asked you about your roots when we were in LPL, and I remember you told me you were, the background is Ethiopian. Oromo is true. If that's correct.
Oromo, true. You nailed it.
I do listen to friends. Okay, I do listen to friends. That's your background. Do you want to give us a little bit of like history, because I don't think we've had insight into your life, at least a comfortable portion of it.
No, that's fair. I mean, for me, at the time when I was going through university, so I come from like a pretty religious family, Sunni Muslim, and I myself, I'm always like they called me like the second or most whitewashed person, quote unquote, because I just did not really, was not the greatest student like at all. But my biggest thing was going through university was a bit of a trial and tribulation, because my parents did not want me getting a job. Just didn't want it. I guess specifically my mom, she was very much of the opinion that like you should trust us as parents to pay through your tuition, which you will see that's not really a thing. Yeah. Or we don't really trust you to do two things at the same time, which is work and also get an education. And I was like, okay, at first I was like, okay, you won't, They were very much against the idea of a loan. And then I was like, fine, as long as hey, that sounds good to me as a student. If you can do it, they couldn't do it. Obviously, like we're not the richest family, aka we're one of them. I don't know if I can say broke, but it is what it is.
Fair enough.
So there were times where I had to like take a semester off to work, and then get back into it and work at the same time, which is completely fine. And then there was a time in which I was basically working with a group called Safe Walk, which is essentially like student-led campus security. There's campus security, and then there's Safe Walk that like walks students from one place on the campus to another. Like a good example is if they want to go from their class late at night, if they are working late, to the parking lot, because there's always going to be dangers, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, why would you want a skinny ass Ethiopian kid to walk you? Like that's going to be really any level of security.
I'll find it, yeah.
I got them. The idea is like walking in groups. So it'd be me, the student in question, and a female safe walker. And then, less likely it would be a group fight. It would be 3 people. You'd be jumping 3 people. Would you do that? I don't think you would.
No.
And I always have a mean mug. Anyways, so while I was doing that, there's a lot of dead time. And I loved, at this point, esports and League of Legends. I was following it, and I wanted to learn more. And at this time, I'd gotten to the stage. This is when I was already writing blogs for the LDL and LPL. And, well, at the time, it was called LSPL, the Tier 2 division of the LPL. I was very interested in it. And a lot of that was because I was, like, writing my essays late at night, and I needed some form of entertainment at that time. I was at my PC and like to take my mind off things, so I wasn't the greatest student. And I was watching either NLB, which is Tier 2 LCK, which is OGN Champions at that time, or I was watching LSPL. And the LSPL was so entertaining, and no one else was watching it. I didn't understand why. It was the funnest thing of all time, and a lot of those players were finding their way onto LPL teams. So I felt like it was like the root of a lot of the future of the LPL. And so I was just writing about it on Twitter and on this. And then I found myself like creating friendships with like Kelsey Moser and Froskuren and all them. I got into China Talk. Like that was the really early days on that. I even like started working on Leaguepedia at the time with, and so like I was just doing a lot of volunteer work. Because in my mind, I'm like, I love this, and if I can work within it for at least like to buff up my resume, I'm super down with that.
Yeah.
So like that led into volunteer analyst work for like Team 8 at that time, because they were looking for analysts, and I'm like super down with that. So I was working with Matt, and then that turned into my first coaching gig, which was head coaching for Chiefs Esports Club in Oceania remotely. So I was coaching for them from Canada, which is perhaps the worst scrim time I have ever seen in my life. It's like, let's get in for scrims at 1 a.m. in Canada and get out of scrims at 7 a.m., which was not sustainable in any level.
But that's a you time. I know you, and that's whatever, bro.
True.
In China, you'd be up till 4 a.m. What's wrong with that time slot for you?
Hey, at that time, during the summer, completely fine.
Yeah.
Completely. You're telling me during any moment in time, I can just do what I usually do, which is just like be alone at my PC, just playing games or just vibing or watching anime? Sure. And in this case, watching scrims. But then the summer was over, and I needed to make a decision to like, because I cannot continue to do that during school. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to actually have to get a real job.
Oh,
and at that time, this is still all like volunteer work. I'm not getting paid for this. I think I got paid with
volunteer. Chiefs was volunteer work, or that was your first paying job?
My first paying job was after the Chiefs, because that was still volunteer work as a head coach. I got paid in like a jersey, a Chiefs jersey. So I still have that Chiefs jersey.
Right, that's a stalker, that org doesn't exist anymore, bro. So
true. Oh my god, I'm keeping hold of that one. It has the full plasm on the back.
Oh.
Yeah. And my first big gig was Dignitas Europe. That was when I was coming in, because it was either that or I was gonna maybe like work a bar job or something, a waitress job. Or a waiter job,
as we've heard.
Yeah, bouncer. Exactly. Yeah, I got the skills. I got the resume for that one.
Yeah.
And then I got in as an assistant coach for DigEU during their EU Challenger Series run, and that's where we qualified for the European LCS. And they changed their name from Follow Esports to Splice. They're now known as Mad Lions to MCOY. They had so many changes. But that was the team that I joined was Sencooks, Wonderware. So that's Wonder.
Yep.
Obvious, and our bot lane was Kobe and Nisbeth. It was a full Danish lineup, and it was like every time they would play, they would comm in full Danish, and then we'd come out of the game. It was like, guys, we should comm in English so we can respond and critique the comm.
And so you can understand, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't catch, what were you studying at university at the time when you were like kind of phasing into this?
It was political science, actually. So I was doing political science, which the funny thing was I was very unsure of that degree because the economy at the time was not great.
Yeah.
And my sister literally had just gotten the university degree for political science and was like, yeah, I'm not getting a job with this thing. I'm going to go back to school. I'm like, what am I doing then? Yeah. What am I doing taking a poli-sci degree if I'm not going to follow through on it? And my sister is like going back into university. So I was unsure of my own degree. I had like maybe a year left on it, but I was like, I'm transitioning to computer science. And while I was making that decision and taking actual computer science courses, that was when we had already we had qualified into the European LCS. And our owner at the time, Odie, was making the decision either to sell the North American team or to sell the European team. Because at that time, Riot made the decision of like, well, not at that time. They're like, you cannot have a sister team. You have to choose between one or the other. It doesn't even matter that they're in two different regions, of the off chance that they're in an international against each other, which never going to happen. You're never going to have a Dignitas versus Dignitas in an international
event. I get the reasoning behind it just in case, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't know. He was never going to let us know which team he was going to sell. So I was like, what the hell? What are we doing? And so they had sold the European team at that time. And the decision was for me to go to North America as the assistant coach. I had the choice of staying with that roster in Europe. So I could have blown over to Europe as the head coach. That was a big decision for me. I was not going to be willing to do that, but I was down to go to North America. And that's when I made the decision. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing with my degree at the moment. I'm going to like put it on delay for now, and then I'm going to go to Los Angeles.
You've never come back to it, right? Like that's.
And I never came back to it.
Never came back. So
that's how I was like, you know what? I'll just pay off my tuition and peace out, basically.
Done. And that was that the start of 2016? Was that the big decision to start of 2016? Is my timeline right?
Yes, actually, yeah. That was a big decision, I think, at the very beginning of 2016.
So then at the start of 2016, you're with them. There was some period in your career where on Leaguepedia it says 24 days you're with a team called Destined for Glory as a strategic coach. Only 24 days. And I had to quiz your mind because it comes after this story. And I'm wondering, like, I haven't heard of this team. I have no idea what this is about. 24 days.
Dude, I told them not to put me on the Leaguepedia thing. I literally told them, don't do it.
But you're there.
But I'm there. Basically, what happened was I had already been done with the split with Dignitas, and I had made the decision to go to Australia to cast. But I was like, hey, while I'm waiting on the visa, I want to work with the team. And I got asked to help them during their run because they were going to try and qualify for the NA Challenger scene. And this was like RF Legendary and them boys. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm down to help. But like, it works. It helps me keep up to date with the game before I go and cast. Like, I think that would be perfect help, right? And so they're like, oh, so do you want to like be known as a strategic coach or anything like that? Because like we're gonna like submit us to, I think they were saying Leaguepedia. I was like, don't put my name on there because like I don't want that on there. I had nothing to do with this team. I'm just helping on the side. I'm just giving like coaching stuff. And I remember just being there in their playoffs run as they were like trying to qualify. And the worst thing ever, dude, we were in the most daunting series of all time. Yep. It was so depressing because this was during the time where teams would just like LCS teams would have a sister team just so they can like qualify into the LCS, and then sell the team to make a profit.
Oh,
so C9 had sent High, Lemonation, Rush, like they had sent this fucking LCS team
egregious
to the NA Challenger Series. No, not even to tier 3 to qualify into the NA Challenger Series to then and that was FlyQuest. That eventually turned into FlyQuest. We got fucking destroyed. I remember going into game 3's like we just got destroyed in game 2, and so it's our third game. Like we're like prepping for game 3. I was like, all right, guys, for the last game. He's like, did you say last game? I was like, oh shit, I didn't say last game. I was like, you said last game. I didn't say last game.
You did not. Oh my god. Even the strategic coach thinks it's over, bro.
I was not giving confidence, bro. That was like my oop moment. I was like, oop. No, I didn't. Anyways, let's get into the draft, brothers.
And then the day after, you were removed from the roster. Is that how it worked? Like,
well, I was like never technically a part of the roster. I was like, guys, this is the run, and then I'm gone. But yeah, you're right. We didn't qualify, so
you're on Leaguepedia. You're on Leaguepedia. Like,
oh my god, get me off Leaguepedia.
I made a note of it because I was looking, and I thought I knew your story of going from, one dig to another, and then there's just this 24-day slot before. I think the rest from memories is dig as well. Golden Guardians is in the mix there, which you kept showing me the VOD of you on stage coaching. I think that's the Golden Guardians one of the game. You're like, look, there I am. He used to show me in LPL. He used to I swear 2 or 3 times in that year, you showed me the same clip of you coaching on stage.
Me has been on stage? Dude, I look good. I'm not going to
lie. I mean, that's probably why you showed me, because it was probably while you were drunk or we were out drinking and you would
I could have been. Dude, there's one time where they had we had the most greedy draft of all time, like the most disgusting greedy draft. Like this was during the time where Pantheon Rumble was a thing, Rumble mid and then Pantheon jungle, and you would just fast push and dive bot. And you know what draft I made? We were like, yeah, we're going Cassiopeia mid. That's always gonna get pushed in, and our bot lane was gonna be Aphelios Yuumi. It was so bad. It was the giga scaling of doom. They should have dove us a billion times, but they didn't. They got outscaled, and we just, the moment Aphelios had items and Yuumi was online, we just won every single team fight on. And then at the end of the game, they're like, guys, this was a draft diff. Everyone's saying, thank you, Raz, there. Thank you, Raz. On comms, I was like, guys, this draft shouldn't have worked. I had actually fully into Yes, it was such a shit draft. But it worked. It worked. And I guess in tier 2, no one can punish.
I guess not, because bro, so far as a coach, you've had some I don't know, some whoopsies that have gone through. So your coaching career, we'll move past that because unless there's anything else we've missed up until 2019, do you have any highlights from your coaching career that something that sticks with you that you've never forgotten?
I think it'll always be. There was one moment for sure. One moment, this was, of course, assistant coach for Dig EU, and we were going into playoffs. We were, I think, first seed. I want to say we were first seed. And our first series was against Denial Esports, which was against who is it? Wicked's team. Okay. OG Wicked. He was still playing, and his champion pool was demonic. It was Runan's Hurricane Gnar. He was building Gnar as a split push mini Gnar. It was stupid, but it was effective. It was working. They got into playoffs and everything, and they had Kirei as their jungler. And we were we're not having a good time in this series. We went to the very end, like game 3 type of thing. I think it was only a best of 3 at that time. I can't remember, but it was a back and forth, and it was tougher than it was during the regular season. But it was decided by. Guess what it was decided by?
What? Not you. Not you.
Kirei getting DDoS. Kirei getting DDoS.
I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
What? Someone fucking DDoS the enemy jungler. Not us.
Oh my god.
Not us. It was ridiculous. And that was the story of any online tournament. And we were like, why the fuck is the European Challenger Series playoffs that decides who gets into the LEC at the European LCS at that time? being decided by a player getting DDoS.
Wait,
that was crazy.
Was there a remake?
Oh no! The rules at the time is you're disqualified from that game if you get DDoS for too long. Like if your internet does not work, they're like, we're not rescheduling this.
What?
You lose the game. So it was the most effective DDoS of all time. It was so shit. If it happened to us, we would be fuming.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even the only thing. It wasn't even the only thing. Wicked and Kere have the most like reason to be mad because this was also at the same time as GP being dead in the lore.
Yeah.
And so getting remade into the most broken champion in existence.
I remember.
And he was available to play on playoffs immediately off of no one had played him. No one had scrimmed him. No one had seen him. They didn't know what he did.
But he was available on the TI.
But he was available. And Wonder is one of the most iconic players in being able to just play something with like 5 minutes of practice. He didn't care. So like he had gone into like an ARAM just for a little bit. It was not a full ARAM game, but he like just before the series like practiced a little bit to see his kit. He's like, yeah, I can play it in the most like important series of all time. He dropped it, completely dropped dick on Wicked, just completely destroyed the game. Yeah. Was so fed. And Wicked on Twitch went on Twitter is like, why is this champion available? This broken piece of shit champion available in playoffs. So they got hit by DDoSing and they got hit by the Wonder GP, which became his most iconic champion, I feel like. And then we went to the finals. And we went to the finals. We expected it to be versus G2. Perks is G2. But G2 had choked versus Mouse Esports. And Mouse Esports was the 4th team. They were like the worst of the playoffs teams by far.
Do you remember Do you remember the roster of Mouse?
The G2 team?
No, the Mouse, because it was Mouse, right?
Yes, it was Mouse. It was like Cedrion, Beans, I'm pretty sure, top lane. I don't remember the rest of them. I really don't. But those are the few people. That was an Arrows team, by the way. That was an Arrows team.
Oh, okay.
He was the coach of that squad. And so when we saw that G2, our biggest rivals at that time, and they were scaling up too, they had gotten, this is the time frame where they're like, they had Gilius at first. They had some problems, like synergies there. They ended up replacing him with Kikis. And Kikis was like, yeah, I'm going to just constantly play to my jungler and everything. And they were or their mid laner and everything. And they were very good. So we were worried about going up against G2. But they were not in the finals. They had choked versus Mouse. And we were like, we did it! Early celebrating. We're like, our fucking coach was like planning a vacation. I was like, bro, we can't be looking at their finals like that. And we went to game 5 versus them. We were sweating our ass off. And then we qualified. So that was good. But it took some time.
Shit, man. I can't get past the DDoS because, I mean, first of all, that sucks so much. But then to pile the GP on top that's never been tested is... pure rage, I would say. Pure rage. Not from my side. We were so lucky in those cases that like Wonder could just fucking practice a champion like that and put it into play. Yeah.
And abuse what was like. Now Riot basically makes it so like we have like a week or 2 week hiatus on a champion, like if it gets released.
So it should be,
yeah, so like now it's a little normal. Back then it was like, yeah, we killed him in the lore so no one can play him and no one knows his kit, and then released him on competitive play on the same day. That was crazy. And then the DDoS. Yeah, the DDoS was insane works.
Well, all right. So
during Skype, I think. So Skype just made DDoSing so easy.
Yeah. Back before we used Discord. I mean, back then TeamSpeak existed though. Why are you using Skype?
Oh, we were using TeamSpeak. I don't remember if we were using TeamSpeak for those games. I think we were, but Skype was also like people were using both, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, everything was DDoSable.
Now that's your coaching career, right? And
yes.
And
then there was DigNA.
You then went after, DigNA, but then you went after. What year are we at? You did LPL for quite a bit. You did LPL for like. How many years? 2017 was when you started, because you moved to Australia.
2016, because it was like mid 2016 that I moved to Australia. So it was like 4 years, basically 4 years, maybe.
So much longer than I thought. Yeah.
Because like it did 2 years in Australia and then 2 years in China.
So transition to Australia first, because for me it's super easy. Like, I mean, it's super easy to say like, oh my God, Australia's so easy to live in, but I'm an Australian. I don't know how it was for you. And because you're in Sydney only, and Sydney's like, it's just a busy city with a lot of people in a dense area and a lot of good food though. But regardless,
a lot of good food.
How was it for you moving there?
It was the first time I'd moved outside of the continent. It was like a big change for me, and I loved it. I really did. It was the weirdest thing because I'm coming in from Canada, and Canada is like more than half the year is just uninhabitable. I'm not getting out of the house unless if I need to. Then I'm dressing up like a Michelin man with like layers upon layers. It's like the winter is just like a post-apocalyptic universe. Everything is dead and there's white snow up to my knees, like that type of stuff, right? And then you go to Australia and it's just the Riot office was right next to what was it was like Piers Harbour or something like that.
Yeah, well, you're in Pyrmont. Pyrmont was the actual suburb, yeah. There's
Pyrmont, and it was right next to the harbor. It was beautiful. There was a cafe every other street. I can dox myself from the past. I was right next to Newtown, which was like a really trendy area. And there's a lot of food places. So I was like, wow, first time living alone. So I feel like I'm really learning a lot of life lessons personally. And there's a lot of like the cafes were amazing and I was really loving it. I enjoyed it. It was amazing to me. The first time really getting out of there and living on my own. So even though it could be tough, it was not. It was not tough at all. I was like perfectly in love with it. I think my first question was like trying to find friends, but I think the office mates in Sydney really, really made me feel at home.
And you transitioned to casting for the first time. Like, I guess you were already analyzing of your own will. You found a passion where you were writing articles. You were already enthralled in the game. So how was the transition from going from all that, from coaching players to then just talking behind their backs on a screen?
That was hard. That part was hard, I think, because like the moment you're like, "Oh, I'm criticizing them on screen," that's tough, especially when you're trying to have like a good relationship with players, and you see those same players like fuck up often, right? You're like, "Oh shit," that part can be difficult. I think that it was a much harder transition than I thought it would be, because whenever you're in the coaching side or player side, you're always like criticizing the casters because you always feel like the casters know absolutely nothing or little about the game. That was my view at the time, which wasn't necessarily. I mean, it could be true or not. Like you get so much wealth of information when you're seeing the scrims every day, right? And you're working on theory of the game. But it's like a completely different universe. The idea of like commenting on a game live, like you need to be quick with your words. You need to be efficient with your words. You need to be concise. You need to be entertaining in how you deliver it. Even in my tryout, I biffed that tryout. That was not a good tryout for me. I realized quickly that I was behind.
How did you blow it? Well, you thought you blew it, or like
I thought I blew it. I was like because I did technically cast for the LPL expansion tournament when it was LPL with Kelsey Moser.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is like I, as a coach, and even just generally speaking, was like a monotone person that when I was talking about the game, and I was very much like I felt like I had so much time that I can just say whatever I want, and it didn't matter how efficient I was in saying it. Like I can just yap, which I'm sure was boring for people to listen to. So I guess we were casting over a game that just kept having kills and deaths, and I was like, wow, it just kept interrupting me. Like I wasn't even talking to the game. I was just like trying to make a point and then not respecting that the game was happening. And that was the first lesson.
Going. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's not good. They still, of course, like hired me because of the knowledge part, like the LPL knowledge side. But I was like, I really need to work on this. I need to actually like practice cast a shit ton and really drill it. And that was the first challenge. And I think I got to a point where I was concise enough to have a good cast. My second biggest trial was being in front of a camera. I don't know how it was for you, but when you first sit down and have those lights beaming at you with like 3 studio cameras right in a closed room, and your co-caster is probably far more experience. Like you have an atlas sitting right next to you, like looking at the camera, and I'm like, oh my god. And during university, I was a shit public speaker. I was always nervous in being in front of people and like getting my points across. Being in front of like 4 people and talking, fine. That's like if you're like with your team, that's fine. Being in front of like a lot of people, you can work yourself up to it, right? That's complete. Like you can get there. The moment you start your presentation, you're like, okay, I'm in the groove. But in front of cameras, you have no idea. You're talking to nobody, and you're talking to everybody at the exact same time. Yes. You're like, oh my god, I realized that was a true fear. And I had to work on that too. And I got through that, I think, very quickly. And I think my producers helped a lot because they were very like old school Australian TV producer. The man was like, he had like a thick accent too. And he'd be like, look at me, mate. Look at me. And when he said look at me, he means the camera. It's like, I want you to look at, I don't look at him. Fucking look at me, mate. He would say all this stuff. I was like, all right, like he's giving me straight directions. And I was not the only one. He was giving it to everyone else. So I was like, okay, perfect. Like I was being trained in real time. So those are my challenges. I had a lot of challenges, and I think I worked on that a lot throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, you're practically a bubble of energy. That's why I said on the cast you'd be insane. It's a personal desire of mine. It is crazy, again, that you've lived in, obviously you're Canadian, you've got a rich background as well. You've lived in Australia, and then you moved to LPL China when they moved 7 English casters to Shanghai at once. That was such a big news story. I remember because Preacher was working with you at the time, and he obviously wanted an in, who, by the way, now is a pilot, if you haven't kept up with him.
Oh, I've kept up with him. That's insane.
He works for Cathay Pacific. Like, oh my god.
I don't even know what that is, but I would see him taking pictures either in a plane or next to this big ass plane in like the whole pilot outfit. I'm like, no shot. That is incredible.
LPL analyst to pilot. No, Cathay Pacific does they're based in Hong Kong, and they do like international flight. Like they're a huge airline. They're a very good airline as well. He was like top of the class. That dude's doing really well.
That's insane.
So anyway, I was always hearing from him how like, oh, there's a big move coming, and then eventually it came, and then you, Rusty, Fish, Frosk, Pulse,
and
Dom, and then I'm missing one more, and Clement, right?
Yeah, and Clement.
All 7 of you moved to Shanghai, and the broadcast, even though sometimes scuffed, that was a good that was such a golden year for LPL. I think that was the best quality year for LPL because not only was the English broadcast for the first time in arena, but you actually had a rotation that could cover the schedule that wasn't even 7 days a week yet. It was like 4 or 5 days a week, right? But it was still an insane schedule.
It was like 5 or 6 days a week.
Okay.
And I remember there was a challenge at that time to be like, should we cover 3 days and make that the most high quality day, like, days you can cover, right? Or do we cover every day and just basically try, like, do the bare bones? We don't have that many casters, like, for the amount of games, like, that's possible, but we would basically try and run ourselves through that. I was very much on the side of let's cover as many days as possible. I think, and there was like differences within the team on that one, like because everyone had a different vision. But I was very much on the time of like, I don't really care if we as casters have a different vision. We just need the boss call. We need the boss nuke on this one saying exactly what we're doing. And I think that was like the first challenge is we went to the country, a big shift, a big change. And I think even for China was a big change because like there's a lot of question marks on who was going to be the product lead and who was going to make the larger decisions. But that was a big shift, and especially like even the idea of moving everything to finding a new place when you don't understand the language and trying to find the realtor. Riot, of course, helped us a lot in that regard. But the realtor definitely was. That brother knew that he had a bunch of gullible people. I will tell you right now. He was like, look, this is the least expensive you could go for. Like these, and we're like the most expensive district in all of Shanghai.
In all of China, bro. It's the most expensive apartments in the whole of China.
And we kept looking at the prices and being like, this is cheap? It's like, this is the least expensive? It's like, brother, this is the list, and this is the least expensive one on the list.
How much? Oh my. In a ballpark figure, how much were you guys? Because it was a box you were in. Weren't you sharing an apartment or something?
We were all sharing, like 3 of us were sharing. Like I was living with Pulse and Dom, and Frost was living with Rusty and Fish. And like, I don't know, Clement was probably doing his own thing at that point in time.
Already, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, I don't remember how much it costed, but I do remember having to pay the deposit and everything on the first day. And my landlady was incredible. She was like half Chinese, half Japanese, and spoke English. So I was like, you know what? I'll be the pseudo landlord. I'll communicate to the landlord. Just give me the money. Which, first of all, a lot of people these days would be like, "You're trusting Raz with your money," and then I will figure it out and get the money sent to the landlady. That was already the first challenge, because like the bank that we were in, that we just signed up for, was like, yeah, we can't do that. Like you can't just send the money. That's a lot of money that you're going to try and send to this next bank. So I'm like, well, how do I do it? I need to do it today. They're like, and by the way, you already know the challenges of going to a bank and like trying to explain anything. It's the most bureaucratic process. This guy was like, we have one thing you can do. I was like, what is it? Take all of your money out, all of the cash. Their bank is like a few blocks in that direction. And walk it over. I was like, what do you mean? It was like 10,000 or something RMB. Oh my God. They had like, so I had my backpack. I stuffed my backpack with Chinese cash. And I was so nervous walking the streets. And it was like a 20-minute walk. And I'm like, I am going to get jacked. If this was LA, I would have gotten jacked yesterday. Yeah. I would have gotten mugged. I would have gotten stabbed. I would not be alive. And then when I finally get there and I'm like, I'm safe. And then it's once again, I don't know any Mandarin at all. And they don't know any English at all. So I'm trying to explain what I want out of this bank. And they're like, okay, I finally get the message across to the translation function, and I send it. I let them know this is what I want, and at first they look at the translation. You're like, you're giving us how much money? And I bring out the backpack and start sending cash at them. She was so overwhelmed. I'm emptying wads of cash, and I must have looked like the greatest drug lord of all time. It was my introduction to China. It was very ridiculous.
Oh God, I remember you telling me this because I remember in 2019 when I had a couple of issues, and I was like, I'm just gonna start pulling out cash, and then I think you referenced this story because I actually remember getting out about 20K. So
yeah, there it is. It's you have to do it sometimes, and thankfully the one thing about China is that it's safe. It's safe.
Always safe, bro. Walk at any time of the night, anywhere, and I always felt safe. Like that's one thing.
It's always safe. Like the worst, you'd go through an alleyway at midnight, like one of the, not even just like any alleyways, you know, those like labyrinth of an alleyway that like has multiple housings on each side, and you're like, this has to be the sketchiest thing in any other country. But in China, it's completely of like, no one is there. You have no risk at all. If anything ever happens, they would probably be jailed for life. Like, so it's super safe.
It was always like in those alleyways were cats. It was like, oh, okay, bro. I'm scared because like a fucking cat just meowed at me, you know, and then follows me home. It's like, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So you sound like that's the start of a culture shock for moving to China. But was there anything else? Because I know, like, by the time I got there in 2019, it felt like you assimilated pretty well. You already knew your way around. You started learning Mandarin. Like, your Mandarin was actually pretty good. And I don't know. I personally felt like living in China, in comparison to Berlin, by the way, was less of a culture shock than actually assimilating with Germany. Like, because when you try and speak the language, people are friendly. People understand you probably don't speak it. And so anything that's more than one word is great. Did you get like a good vibe from your 2 years there? Or do you feel like you were still adjusting every day? Or...
I got a great vibe. because like the first question I had when I was in Australia and they posed the idea was like, I'm living in China. I'm probably the only black guy in like like a million mile radius or something. The first question in my mind is like, is there racism? Will I have a problem? Right? Like just like functioning. And I now I went there for a day, which is not the best way to figure it out. But I went there for a day and I was like, this is actually really nice. I quite liked it. And then when I actually lived there, I felt like people were, as you said, genuinely kind. Yes, and riot naturally because they want to make your life easier. Even with all, management struggles on that front. But then also like all the talent was very kind. When we went to the studio, fans were kind. The Chinese casters were very kind. Like there was so much accommodations. Everything was like there were so many struggles with everything. Like the internet was a struggle because everything you wanted to access was through like you have to access through a VPN. Yeah, you had to go through the firewall. The language barrier was always tough, but you're in Shanghai, and so like it's not as bad as it could be. But even if you were talking to somebody that didn't know anything, they were always like helpful, especially if you knew a little bit of Mandarin. If you tried, they were very nice. So like the culture shock really wasn't from like, at least interacting with people wasn't there, and I didn't feel like racism at all. Like maybe there was one time when we were like trying to get a place where we were like looking for houses. And like there was an old couple that looked at me and was like, what's that brother's criminal history? I was like, all right, that guy, they're racist. It's fine. But everyone else was just like very kind. And if anything, it was just ignorance. Like people were like, I don't know you, like people like you exist and you're the only black person I've ever seen. Dude, I remember walking across the street to the office one day and one guy just posed up next to me. And I'm like, why is there someone like going up to this and posing? I'm like, what the fuck? And I noticed his friend was on the other side taking a picture. He's like, I'm taking a picture with a black guy. Stuff like that.
Right.
So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fact that people were, in my mind, not racist. If anything, they put people in boxes. And the boxes was you're Chinese or you're a foreigner. And it felt like all foreigners were kind of treated the same.
Which is, I mean, I don't know how people view China, but I've always told them like living there was, I don't know, massive highlight because it wasn't that hard. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was outside of, you're right, like the internet being slow because you're using a VPN or, sometimes I'm trying to think outside of the internet, like language barrier, but like everything was convenient. You put money onto your Chinese bank card where you get paid. And outside of sending money out of the country, which was always a pain, it was like I used my WeChat QR code, which they were like 10, 15 years ahead of at the time. And and don't worry, and money's done. Pay for it with everywhere. I only did my phone. I never, ever brought a wallet with cash or credit cards out. I always left it at home.
Yes.
Only a phone. And there are power banks everywhere in the street.
Everywhere.
So
you can always get it charged. It was insane. It was nice. It was very nice. There was like, you're right. It was a very good time being there in my mind. I was very sad when I left. I actually wanted to stay in China.
So why did you leave? Why did you leave me for Golden Guardians Academy, bro, in 2020? What happened?
All right. I will answer this question. I have one story and then I'll answer the question.
Okay.
Because like my time in China, there's so many just random days that were just so funny. So like one time, there was like a thunderstorm happening on an LPL day, and we were in the Super Brand Mall arena. So like it was a show day, but you could tell that there was a problem. They had not properly grounded this studio.
Oh, dear.
And so let's just say there were a lot of people getting shocked. There'd be like, first of all, the audio you can hear from the Chinese casters, you hear like while they're trying to like talk through pick and ban, they're here like you're like you looked at them, they're like looking at each other. And then we were on desk, like me, Pulse, I think it was actually Pulse. We were putting our headphones on for the commentary, and then our headphones would shock us.
Oh,
and we would look at each other, and Pulse was scared. He's like, am I going to get electrocuted? And they're like, yeah, so this entire venue isn't properly grounded, which is dangerous. We're like, oh my fucking God. So they had to fix that. But to answer your question, for me, I did it based off of I left based off of principle. There was always change. Every year there was a different leadership. Like at first, the first year was Riot China, and then the second year was Dominion. You were with us in Dominion.
I was.
And then the third year, who was it? It was like Tech Sound or something that we were going to be going to. Yeah, and at that point, I had worked myself into getting a work visa and all this stuff. And then working at, they were like, we're going to move us off to Tech Sound, which is based in Hong Kong, which means we were moving off of the work visa, which is kind of a little, already that was like a little sketchy.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know about that. But then also, we were getting, I think they were changing it also. So our contract was shorter in the year. So like we were from full year employees to like just for the splits that we were working in. And then on top of that, there was another thing as well, is like we had, I feel like, less control over the broadcast. And let me tell you, we wanted a little bit more control. We wanted a little bit more control. A good example is like social media. We wanted a better control of like who we were hiring for our socials at the time, because
you were fighting a lot for that. I remember, like,
yeah, I was fighting a lot on having more control over socials, because if it wasn't somebody that we had hired, it was going down it was somebody that had no idea how to work Twitter at all.
And yeah, it was like such a big growing platform at that point, because I feel like 2016, 17, 18, or at least at some point then, it was in massive boom, and then obviously now it's kind of trash, but like those 5, 6, 7 years were huge, so it makes sense. You were focusing on that a lot. You were kind of fighting for their rights at one point as well when we did get someone.
Yeah, when you did get someone, they treated them like absolute shit. It was so sad. And they were very good for our product. They were actually incredible at what they did. It was like a natural fit. And I felt like that was a very, very, very sad thing. And then on top of that, like a better YouTube channel, like because our biggest problem was always going to be competing with the LCK English, and also for the fans that were in North America and were not going to be able to watch anybody, honestly, that couldn't watch because of time zones. Like, how do we get those fans in? And the answer is always going to be through additional content. Is it going to be recap content? Is it going to be like the YouTube content? Is it going to be better socials? Like, we need to get the story out there for our teams to like feed them into our league and be willing to watch us when we are live. And our Twitter, if we didn't have a good Twitter person, and when we did finally hire a good Twitter person, we just like gave them the worst experience of all time. And then we went to whoever was in-house in China, and they were just absolutely trash. And then our YouTube channel was perhaps the worst YouTube channel I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It was heinous. When we were making content, and we were really confident in the content that we were making, sometimes that was another pain point of like the type of content we were making and the production of that content. But when we finished that content piece, finally the work is done and we have to release it. It would get released like all in one go.
Yeah.
At the worst time zone, with no thumbnail, with no title. When I say no title, the title was the file name, which would be like parentheses 03.04.19, which was the year, parentheses something .mp4. I'm like, what? How is that the title of our video? Did you just ship this? You just shipped this? This is the video we're shipping?
Yeah, some guy pressed the button and he go, I'm going home. God.
And one of the content pieces that I had made was Raz recaps.
Yep.
And there was already like a pain when it came to like the production of it, which was like, okay, we're gonna do a recap episode, and I'm gonna like have like an MVP of the week, so we can like highlight a player. And I go in the room, and of course I'm the only English speaker. Everyone else has no idea what the concept of this idea is.
I remember.
They're just like the filmers, like the filmmakers. And so like they're just filming me, and they're like, we're just gonna turn the camera on, you can yap, and then we're gonna turn it off. and there's no direction that I can give this. And there's the TV is a million miles away, and they just cast over this. And I'm like, whoa, this is so janky. And then when I wanted to like do the MVP of the week, they're like, yeah, we're going home. And it's like, whoa, come on. This is the part of the. Then finally, we're about to film it. Let's just say I'd be done with a week 1 recap, and it's supposed to go out before week 2. So then, you get that information, then week 2 happens, and you get the information of week 2. It would be like week 4 or week 5, and then you would get the YouTube mag dump of Raz recaps week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I'm like, what the? Why is this being released like this? Who cares about week 1 or 2 at this point? I just really wanted more control of our YouTube channel and our Twitter account, and they're basically telling us, no, that is non-negotiable. There's zero control.
But it was always just like content team would show up. There'd be no communication. I mean, this is sparking something that I dealt with for years, even after you left. Even, because in 2020, like we had the same problem, and 2021 and 2 online, like we try to make content, and it was always just like, this is when it should go out. This is the title. I gave them tags, and then they'd just be like, we're not sure how to put the tags in, so we've just uploaded the video. I'm like, just ask me, I'll show you. And it would be like back then when YouTube algorithm tags mattered so much, and it was just like, oh, dude, the content frustration. Dude. I watched you and Clement like complain about it for so long, and then I got my hands on it, and I was like, holy fuck, I get it.
Pure hatred. Because the worst things too were like, there was not even. They would say they wouldn't have budget for certain ideas. Because I was like, guys, you don't even need a budget. All we're just saying is like some of these things that we're already using our studio for, we can just do extra content and then ship it. That part should be easy. Like maybe you need one person as a content producer, and I would advocate for someone in that position. But like if you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. It should be an easy process. And then they would be like, yeah, we don't have the budget for that. But guys, we're gonna have like some WWE wrestlers come in, and we're gonna have we're gonna dump a bunch of money on these wrestlers that are gonna come through the studio. Like it's gonna be a good time, and that's our content. You're like, wait a minute, I thought you didn't have money for this. And they were like, and I found out how much money they dropped on that piece alone, and I was like, holy shit, that could be 2 years worth of the budget. That could have hired a content person that would have like actually propelled our YouTube channel. I could not believe what was being told to me. So yeah, there was a lot of bureaucracy there, and it didn't really make any sense.
That was the stupidest thing. I remember that wrestling piece. That was just fucking silly.
I enjoyed being a part of it. It was fine. It was a good vibe.
You're a part of it. They wouldn't let me though. I'm like, oh, can I meet them? Like being the content. Like, oh, no, we've just got Raz and Clement for now. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
oh my god.
Bro, like, guys, I did all of 2019 for you. Anyway, there's someday someone's going to come out with a manifesto of what happened in those LPL early days, and it could be me when I decide to retire. I mean,
yeah, I think we're both in the same boat behind that one. I just basically said I was leaving, and not they helped me when I was like trying to get my things out, and I needed an extra visa. An extension on my visa. So I was like, I won't say anything. It's fine. It's fine. I just shut my ass up and leave.
It's fucking hard, isn't it? I've told people internally, but to the people watching this, one day you'll know everything when you're about 30 or 40. So, okay, so you left. You went to GG Academy, and how many years before you're on LCS on the actual broadcast?
I think it was honestly just a year. I feel like it was just a year of being on Golden Guardians Academy. Because like for me, funny enough, last year on LPL, still wanted to stay, but LPL did contact me like after an LPL finals. LCS contacted me after an LPL finals, being like, we want you on the team. And I was like, okay. They had shown interest a few times already. One was at All-Stars, an All-Stars event. And the other one was basically a phone call after an LPL finals. I think it was either after or before. I cannot remember. And that was obviously a big decision. But I had felt at the time that LPL was like a child that I had been with throughout my entire career. And I had loved China at this point. And I'd love the control. You know what I mean? Like at least outlawed the relationships that I had when I was in China. So I was like, it's a big decision, but I don't necessarily want to move. And then after the entire snafu, where I feel like everything that was either promised or said was possible at the beginning, they were like, you cannot do that. It is not possible. This is the contract. There is no negotiations. I'm like, and it wasn't even negotiating around money. It was not money at all. It was actually not money because I was making more, slightly more, with the LPL English than I was at Golden Guardians Academy. And when I was leaving LPL English, I was completely fine not like leaving esports, which was crazy because LCS had already shown interest, but the problem was they were unsure about how to make the visa process work. They said that the visa would not be possible or like difficult. And I was like, okay, it seems like LCS is difficult. I can't really find it. And I made the decision late in the off season for LPL because I was trying to like work with them. And so I was like, oh, I have nothing. I actually have nothing. I don't have an LCS offer necessarily, like a functioning one for the next year. And I was like, maybe I can go back to coaching, but every team had already kind of closed the door on it. I was sending some emails, just being like, hey, maybe if there's an opening, I'm completely fine being like an assistant coach or something. I didn't want to come back and just be a head coach. That was a lot of pressure for someone who's been out of the system for years. And LCK was also looking, and I'd sent in my application, but at the same time, I was like, I don't think I want to go to the LCK. And a lot of that was me being in on my own head because I already had a pretty large Chinese fan base.
That's a huge on Weibo and everything. Also, so wait, was that an official offer?
It wasn't an offer. It was me applying for it, like and talking to the people there at the time.
Okay.
And I didn't want to, even though because my mentality is always just send in the application, then decide later. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want to follow through on it only because it was me on my own head. Like if the optics of me leaving China and then going to Korea was too. The fans already hated each other. The Korean fans and the Chinese fans already hated each other. It was already pretty palpable. And then and me saying, "Oh, I love the LPL, blah blah blah," like I want to stay, and then going to Korea, like would make me look like the biggest liar and phony of all time.
How do you think going to the LCSs? Don't you think there's similarity there?
No, because like the fire between the LPL, like if you remember, because you were also a part of Rift Rivals, like the Chinese and Korean fans hate each other.
Oh yeah,
they completely hate each other.
That was true.
Like to an nth degree, hate each other. And so there was always a rivalry between the two, and it always felt as though like if you were leaving Korea to China, like there was some stank behind that.
That's some I get the hate.
And it felt inauthentic for me to basically jump ship. And also at that time, I had seen another application. I had already known another applicant. I had already known of another applicant, and I was like, "Oh, this makes it easier. I think they're just better. You should just go with them instead." This was EGIM. I was like, "You should just go with EGIM." Like this is not even a.
That never happened anyway.
It never happened, and I was so fucking sad because EGIM, I think, was he was someone that I had coached at the time in Chiefs Esports. He was my support player, and he was very eloquent. He was very smart about the game. He was very funny. Like he had the Australian charm. And I think if he was like casting it today, people would love him immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. So that was perhaps the biggest tragedy was EGIM getting fucked around. But that made my decision easier because I was like, I literally just told him, I was like, just go with him because I was feeling uneasy about it. And I don't even think I was the best applicant between me and him. There's always like an unknown factor. There's always this guy broadcasted and commentated on a finals event. This other person is a pro player, but hasn't been in that situation. He would have to learn how to like commentate. But I think it was like, yeah, but at the end I think he would be better. So, and then of course, and I mean, who knows? Like maybe me saying that meant literally nothing. I was already going to choose EGIM, but there was, I heard, yeah, you never know. Cause I already had like cause I had worked Rift Rivals in Korea, so I already knew the people there, and I probably think I had good graces because I covered for one of the casters when they were sick or something. So like, who knows? But anyways, I had gotten the late okay on a interview for Golden Guardians at that time because FlyQuest and a few of them were like, yeah, we had already made our decisions because it's very late in off season. Golden Guardians still hadn't made their decision about their academy head coach position, and I was like, oh, I'm super down for that, because I do not want to be in a head coaching position for a main team at all, or an assistant coach. I mean, assistant coach for fine is like okay because I had already done that before, but I was like, yeah, I feel like I don't know shit. I need to get back into it again, and so I gone through the interviews. I nailed the interviews. That's when I started to realize that, because I already knew that Inero was going to be the head coach of the main team, but I did not know that Spooks, who was my my jungler when I was on Chiefs Esports, was going to be the assistant coach. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I love this team. And also Choo Choo's was the assistant coach as well.
I remember.
Yeah. So wait, I don't know if Choo Choo's was on the team when I was there. Maybe not. Just maybe it was just a Spooks. But yeah, Sam, aka Spooks, was the assistant coach, and he was bouncing between the main team and the academy team, and that was amazing. I enjoyed that a lot. That was the team that I was working with, and then halfway through the year, that's when COVID hit and everyone had to go remote.
Oh, true. That was a fun time. Raz, before we go on,
yeah,
I want you to call me back and refresh, because you're giving me American Cam. Your lips are a little bit out of sync, and it's going to bother me.
Oh no! I got you.
Yeah, call me right back.
Okay.
Chat, hope you're having fun. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the follows. And yeah, big kiss. Yo, okay.
Mwah.
Oh, thanks. I think you should be better.
Yeah.
I tried to fix you myself. Oh, look at me. Say peasant. Say the word peasant.
Peasant.
Oh, that's sync. That's sync if I've ever
There
seen
we
it.
go.
All right, so okay, COVID hit, and I mean the rest is kind of history. Like you talked about how you functioned and transitioned to LCS. No, like
not yet.
Time? No, tell me.
Basically, what happened there was I was working with Golden Guardians at a certain point. It was like full year, and by the end of the year, when I was having the end of year meetings, I was pretty much been like, the LCS offer is still there. They were still interested,
which is huge, by the way. Like I feel like not a lot of people get like follow up or consistent offers, especially not these days.
True. Like it was always available, and there was always the sticking point of like, we don't know about the visa problem. Like if you can get a visa, then we're completely on board. And that was when I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. Because as much as I loved coaching, as much as I loved it, it was like a love-hate relationship. Because anybody who is in a coach position, even players, I'm sure, will tell you, every day is a roller coaster. Every scrim day is like, you don't know, you'll come in with a lesson or a goal, and you never know what will come out of it. If it's like a 5-0 or, you know, whatever, if we're even. Hell, even going 0-5 is not bad, unless if it's like you're getting blown out in laning phase. If that's happening, then you're like, this day was shit. There's a lot of stress behind it. And I think what I realized was the hardest point for me was watching my team play. Like watching your child conceptually, like go out there and perform. I was always super nervous. Like, not the draft is easy, because that's something you like wane over again and again and again. And sometimes you can make a mistake, of course, because you have a poor idea of it. And even though I felt like my drafts were quote unquote good because it was working, even though you look back on it and it's like, I think Cassio, Aphelios, and Yumi is bad. But it worked. But anyways, main point was like, I had mixed feelings on coaching. I loved it and hated it, because I hated how I felt. And I felt like I was going to get an early gray hair because of it.
So you think you're an anxious person? Like, you were anxious watching the games, right? That's an easy emotion to call.
Yes, I would say I was anxious watching the games. And so it was like uneasy watching the games. I remember specifically there was a time where I was like, finished draft, teams going into game. This is during COVID, so like we're all remote. I was like, okay, time before we start like deploying on the map for level 1s, I'm gonna go to the washroom and puke.
Oh my god.
Stuff like that, where it's like, even though we would win those games, and even though I would still show confidence to the team at all times, I was like, I don't like the feeling that I have watching our games. And I think that was like, that would be I think over time it would be easier. But in that moment where I was coming back, I was like, that's tough. But if I go into commentary, I think I would still, it would be more focus on myself, and like my own personal growth, and then because you have the time for it, and then B, you can also still technically coach by talking about concepts, talking about what the teams are doing. You can, like, if you wanted to be serious and hit on the notes, you can still teach the audience technically. While also I felt what I think was needed was better storytelling. Because like some of the things when I was behind the team, I was frustrated by. Because I remember having a good draft. That, by the way, I'm not giving myself credit for good drafts. I think it's a whole team, like, venture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my team were very smart about what they wanted to do within the draft. And there was one time where my top laner, Darshan, Zion Spartan, was like, I would love Maokai here. So he picked Maokai specifically into Wukong because he really liked the matchup. And then I listened to the broadcast, and they're just saying, did they forget that Ornn existed? I think they forgot Ornn existed. I think they didn't remember that Ornn existed as a champion, and they picked Maokai because they think Ornn was not a champion. I was like, what? If that was ironic, that would be funny.
Yep.
Because like that's just an opinion. I'm okay if you just have an opinion that you think Ornn is better. But they're like, I think they blundered the draft because they forgot that Ornn exists. I was like the laziest. I was like, no way that is the story that's being told. And stuff. And of course, like I think in general, some of the storytelling in tier 2 was quite lazy. But that's because, to be honest, the casters at that time were not dedicated to the tier 2 product.
Yeah.
That was not like they're just basically, that was second aspect of their work. So I was like, I would want to have a hand in storytelling. I think that would be very good. And so join the. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's hard, like from doing tier 2 for so long. Like storytelling is really important at that point because people are like growing, like the players are growing. But the problem is all the tier 2 casters, even now, they're gonna focus on their performance because they're trying to develop themselves to an exceptional rate where they can get into tier 1 or at least be eligible to get into tier 1. So I kind of understand like when
they had the LCS casters casting the tier 2 at that time.
Okay.
It was like they had and so their craft was quite good, but it was like they just didn't have the information on the players or the willingness a lot of the times because like that's not their job necessarily. Their job is LCS. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, and I think it's better that the tier 2 casters would take over because even though their craft is maybe going to be less experienced because they're not super dedicated to it, where someone is like a full-time caster on LCS, but at least they have the information and they have the stories of the players and they're dedicated to the stories of the players. Like that, they know the players' like life story on the back of their hand. And I think that's a better situation. And also it gives them experience. Like there's so much that I think giving the tier 2 casters the tier 2 games is so much better for that product. So I love where it is in the past with Academy when they shifted over. And then, that it's still in their hands in Challenger Series. So that's the update that I liked. So basically the solution for me, I just did my own visa. I like went to an amazing like immigration lawyers and started working with them because I didn't know the first thing at all when it came to like being able to work on getting my own visa, but they made the process super easy. Shout out to Jeannie Doi. Shout out to Jeannie.
Big.
She has helped out so many people in the scene. So many people. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how I got my first P1S visa there. Second, I guess, because the first one in 2016. But I was able to get my that was not a P1S. That was an O1B or something.
OME, not P1S. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
It was an entertainment visa. Visa.
Yeah.
And so I got my entertainment visa, and that was like me joining the LCS. And I don't know, I guess I made a mistake because at that time I was like, I'm in the US already because I was already coaching, and I'm just transitioning my coaching visa to a different visa for entertainment. And the way it was communicated to me at the time was that the visa process would be quick. it was not quick. It was not quick. I mean, it was like we didn't know, because it's always going to be up to the American government how fast or slow that process would be. But because it was online, they were like, you can go back to Canada and you could work there. You can work online through Canada. But if you were in America, then you can't work because you're working on a non-working visa, or at least you haven't completed that visa in America. So that was, and so I was like, I am going to stay in America because I remember hearing that it would be a short process. It was not. I was in visa getting. We were going through the entire split, and I was just twiddling my thumbs. And that's why I was like, at that time, I was trying to find things to do. So I was like learning chess. I was like learning Mandarin. I was also giving I was like watching every game on of LPL and giving feedback to the LPL casters at that time. But I was like going insane. So I can't imagine. I mean, I understand what it's like for players like Zamudo or something who are just completely stuck in visa hell.
Yeah.
It feels like purgatory because you don't know when it's going to happen, if it's going to be accepted. You don't really know what. Like, you're just waiting until you can do what you love, basically.
Yeah. It's a stressful time. And like, bro, even here, like the bureaucracy is nuts with getting a visa, but the US, I can't even imagine. What year are we in? Because I remember you giving the feedback. I remember you were giving 2022 or 3.
It was like 2021, 2022. It was like one of the two.
I feel like it was 2022 because I remember that we weren't back in China, but we were online, and I remember you distributing feedback, and I remember, and it was a good time. So then officially, you on the broadcast, 22 or 23?
I think I want to say full time 2022. 2021, I remember being like in playoffs because that was when my visa was like online.
Okay. So
I was able to do finals, even though I was not able to do anything else.
Okay.
But then the next year was like I was there, split 1, and it was like fully online for me.
And you've been there for 3 years now.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, you've assimilated into the broadcast. That's no question. Do you still, it's a straightforward question, but do you still enjoy what you do? Do you still like have that same drive that you had at the start, that same passion that, you know, made you go through the hurdles and relocate twice and sit through visa issues, sit on a team that you weren't on for 24 days? Like, is all that, you know, led you to this and still happy?
I'm still happy. And that's a great challenge because for me, I always give myself, because I always view my career technically year to year. I will always see by the end of the year if I still love what I am doing, if I'm still passionate, because I think my biggest fear is being exactly what I hated. Because I even mentioned like that, like the whole lazy narratives from casters that I didn't like in the past, right? And I've seen lazy coaches in the past, and I never wanted to be someone that was just getting the check and going to work. Like somebody that is literally just there for the money and hates their life or is not willing to put in the work and looks bad because of it. Yeah. I never wanted to be the person that was like, that people will look at and say that they're a paycheck stealer because it doesn't even seem like they're making an effort. And I've seen I've seen those people. We've all seen those people in the past. And it feels like shit. And I'm like, I can't become that person because then who am I? I'm wasting time in my life if I do that. Yeah. So every year, because at first it was a year-to-year thing because I didn't think it would be a career. Like when I moved to Australia, and when I was going to LA the first time, I was like, I'm just going to delay my education and go back, and it's just going to be year to year. And then every year it turned into me thinking that I can go back to school, into me being like, I want to see if I'm still happy with what I am doing and if I still am passionate about what I'm doing. Because if I'm not, then I have to think about going to a different path in my life. Yeah. And I'm still excited. I'm still happy with what I do. And I think it's because I still love the game and I still love the players. And I take that lesson and it makes me driven to, like, I ask myself the same question when it comes to like some games as well. Because you'll know some casters as well that perform amazing when the best teams are going up against each other. But when it's like the worst team going up against each other, they don't put in as much effort. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's easy to not see vision in some of those games, especially for the LPL. Especially for the LPL when you're seeing team number 16 go up against
Ultra
team number
Prime
17.
versus Rare Atom. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I just remember like Team WE versus Team Newbie, and I'm like, they're perma fighting every instance, every chance they get. It's so low quality. And so you need to ask yourself, why do you care about this game? Because it's a real question. And if you don't care about the game, then your audience knows that you don't care about the game, and the game is worse as a result. And so for me, I always come down to, it's easy to give a justification for the best teams. For the worst teams, you always have to be genuine about it. And for me, it's always comes down to like, well, I love these players. Like, I think this player, like, remember Zhang Wuji? I was like, Zhang Wuji is fucking exceptional, man. He is so exciting to watch. He is perhaps, if he was on a good team, that guy would be a star. Like, I want to tell his story. Or for newbie, it was like Swift. Like, Swift is an incredible jungler. It's usually like the bad teams will still have, like right now, people talk about like 1xN. Like, the bad teams will have that one guy that people will love. Or they'll still love that team for what they are, even if it's ass. Like, Bro is a team that people will love in Korea, even though they're perennially ass. Like, you want to root for the underdog. So like, this is a roundabout way of saying that. Just find a reason. If you ever wonder if you're passionate about something, sit yourself down and dedicate yourself. Open up a Google document and ask yourself, why are you passionate about something? Like, what about the game? What about your career? What about what you're doing do you love? And if you find way more negatives than positives, and if you're finding yourself at the end of this Google document or notepad being like, I really don't like what I'm doing, then you have to find your pathway out. It may not be quick. I know a lot of people in life are stuck in their job or stuck in their degree or they're stuck in a position. But I learned really early on in my life that if I am just going about the motions of doing something that I hate, and I'm not even trying to give myself a pathway, doing what I love or doing what I think is better, a better choice, then that's where I find myself deeper in depression and hating my life more. And that goes way back to when I was in university, doing a degree that I didn't necessarily believe in, doing the things that my parents wanted me to do, like not getting a job. Actually, I wanted to get a job, which is crazy. And like just agreeing with them and doing what they wanted just because I didn't want to rock a boat. And then when I finally wanted to push myself to do what I wanted or what I believed in, what I was passionate about, I got better results than when I didn't when I didn't do something that I agreed with. And even if you fail, then you learn something. The worst lessons are doing something what someone else tells you to do or even like insinuates what you should do. And then you fail and you're like, what did I learn? I learned not to listen to them, to listen to myself. That feels like wasted time because I didn't even get to test my own abilities, right? And my own opinions. So I think that that's always the check, is to see if you're passionate about something you're doing. So right now, the answer is yes. I love the game. I love the broadcast. I love the people that I work with. I go to work with like Emily, Azale, Jad, Flowers, and all of them, and they're the best people that love and care about what they do. And it's life is so much better knowing that you're working with people that are passionate, just as passionate as you, and the producers that you're working with are incredible, and you can always like clash with them and get to a good opinion or a good decision.
That's good life advice. I think for anything, it's actually quite general for anything in life that, I mean, the passion is what drives us, right? And my next question was literally going to be like, do you feel like you're getting bored of the game or feel a lack of challenge? But I think you answered that as well. Obviously, if you feel like this, there is no world where you're saying to me like, you know, like I'm bored of what I'm doing, because you obviously showed. I think your personality on broadcast is very genuine. Flowers is obviously in the chat, and I think like people like Flowers because he's quite genuine. I think there's a lot of broadcasters out there who they are on show pretty much what they are on stream, maybe cutting out some swearing, but that's about it. As they are in person, you know, when you get to know them, there's no real barriers.
With Flowers,
Please.
By the way, with Flowers, like in the early points of my career in 2016, 2017, when I was working on my craft because I felt like I was ass, the person who I was practice casting with was Flowers pre-Riot. Like, I was trying to find anybody to practice cast with.
On the LMS cast, the LMS.
Oh, it wasn't LMS. It was like Demacia Cup stuff and Worlds, because like Worlds was happening. So we were like, let's just like use a Worlds VOD and practice cast off of it, right?
Shit.
Or we'd just like cast a Demacia Cup, because I was like, if I don't feel like I'm good now, I'm gonna like get myself there by practice casting as much as I possibly can. And it was a struggle to find people, because some people on the tier 1 broadcast, if they're done with their work, and they don't want to keep casting, like they don't want to keep working on stuff like that. They don't want to practice cast. That's fine. And finding tier 2, it was a struggle. But the first person that was like, hell yeah, was Captain Flowers. And you can tell why he is one of the best, if not the best, play-by-plays. It's because of the fact that he is somebody who's always driven and always pushing himself to be better. So
with this love for the game and with this consistent passion that you obviously show, and like, yeah, the big shout out to Flowers is really nice because, you know, there's a lot of people I know in the scene, and it's obvious the ones that have their heart and soul in this game and like in the industry. And
same with you, man.
But
same with you.
If it's not about, if it's not about me. I mean, I fucking love the game. I wish I was better at it. It actually makes me so depressed that I can't climb, and that's how I know I love the game, because I care so much about my rank and what I do. But it's not about me.
But when I saw you in the LPL office, it's every day was so funny, because like of course every one of us, like coming into that office, there's a lot of people that were green and not in the tier 1. That was like their first tier 1 broadcast, right? And you coming to the office, always like spitballing ideas. Some of them were crazy, but like you were always the most creative person challenging himself to be better, and you could see that creative juices flowing. Sometimes, you know, crackhead juices.
That's what you said to me. You said, look, man, like, it's good that you crackhead, but like in the meetings, you can't be as crackhead. That's what you always gave me as advice. You were literally like, you've got to not be hysterics in the meeting. That was, and it's so funny because I've taken that advice in like LEC meetings now. I do bring a bit of crackhead energy. Like, I had this great idea. Let me quickly tell you. It's called barrel roll, right? And LEC, I've pitched this content so many times that I don't care. I'm saying it public. I want to put me and a player in 2 separate barrels that get spun, and you have to go run. And then after getting spun for like 20 times, you get let out of the barrel, and we both have to run towards a buzzer to answer a really obvious question, at what level do you get ultimate, or something really dumb.
Okay, that's fun though. That sounds fun.
And then you have to run, and then me or the player has to run. But the thing is, would be so dizzy. It'd be a straight line, but you couldn't be able to run like, and I'd want like jumpy castle barriers on the side and everything, and like get like a Kazi or something, or like a caps.
That is a great idea. Fantastic idea. Love that idea. What happens if we steal that?
If you steal that, I just want the credit, okay? But here's the deal. If you steal that, you have to be one of the people in the barrel. That's all. I'm
down to be that person in the barrel.
Because you're gonna throw up.
Yes. Yeah. Because it should be like throw up with a player.
First to 3 or first to 5, man. It's not just one round. Like, we're gonna keep going. You know, you
that is a hilarious idea.
But that crackhead energy, yeah. I mean, I listen to you in a way. Like, I'm definitely more professional in meetings, but the crackhead energy is hard to dissipate completely. So
also, like in casts, you would like try to rile yourself up before a cast. You would try and like, it's like, all right, I need more energy. I was like, brother, you are natural energy. You're gonna have crackhead. You're already at 100. Yeah. You're trying to go to what, 10,000?
Oh my god, I still try. Look, I understand. Energy's probably not the problem. You helped me realize that, and I appreciate you for that. I learned a lot from you.
You are insane right now. I think your commentary is so fun. Bro, it is my favorite commentary to listen to. You got to stop the glaze here.
I came here for you. It's not about me.
Yeah, well, you're getting a little bit of glaze here, buddy. You're getting a little bit of schlob.
All right. Yeah, keep me clean, all right? So I have to ask, before we get into some of the highlights that I wrote down here. The one question I had, which I'll be asking everyone, is like, what do you think of the longevity of the game? Because it affects your career, right? You have this passion that's obvious after you told me all about, like why you're here, why you're still going. Because there's probably a lot of people watching that, like in the past, I did something with a casting chamber, which I wanted to kind of vary up and have more of an open role and more about people's lives, hence this show. But I wanted to kind of just, for those people that are still interested in getting into the game, see what their future may be, but also what your future may be, because League might not be around forever. It could be around for the next 100 years. We don't know, but things die. And so I'm curious about what you think about the longevity of the game and where it's heading, and maybe what you would like to do, or if you're thinking about it, or if you're not, because it's healthier that way. Just your 2 cents.
It's something that I always think about, because I always like having, I think it's important to have a safety net.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to have a second idea, so you're not like out of a career not knowing. I think that's always dangerous. And you want to be able to be like a preacher that literally is like somehow just he's out of commentary into being a pilot, right? Like that is kind of crazy. So for me, the struggle is always, do I want to stay in commentary for esports? Do I want to move to something different? And that's kind of like where I'm at the moment, where I'm, in my opinion, if I were to go back to Calgary and I'm moving on away from esports, I still want to be tied to broadcast in some way, shape, or form, be it radio, be it news, especially since I'm still passionate about politics and current events, or be it like basketball, like some form of sports commentary, because I love basketball. Something to that nature I've always loved. So I was like, do I do that? If I stay in esports, is there a second game that I like? The answer is actually just no. Every time I think about another game other than League of Legends.
Wouldn't you go into fighting games? I mean, I feel like that's your niche, no?
Yeah, but I always feel as though, and I love the fighting games community and the commentators, and even when 2XKO is coming out, some of the European fighting games commentators are like, bro, I really want to work with you. Like F Word and Damascus, like those guys are fucking incredible. But two things. Number one, I don't feel comfortable trying to like put my foot into something as grassroots as fighting games, because I know how competitive it is. It's like ultra competitive, that like commentary scene. There's not a lot of spaces, especially if you're trying to get good paying gigs. And I'm like, that one's like, I don't want to be inauthentic. And for me, League is as authentic as it gets. I love this game.
Yeah.
With fighting games, I would call myself a casual. Like I am like plat, like high plat to be fair, but still plat in Street Fighter, even if I played the game my entire life. So it's like me, like I watch the game, I watch competitive a lot, and I love watching the games, but I'm always right now a casual player, and I have not even casted once. So it wouldn't make sense to me unless if I really put in the effort. And I know there are a lot of like casters who just bounce between games, and there's no disrespect or no nothing towards them, right? Like they just love yapping about games, and they're completely fine bouncing between one or the other. But I can't see myself doing that. Even I tried with Valorant, like I tried playing Valorant, and I'd be like, wow, I hate Valorant. Like I love watching competitive. Like watching competitive Valorant is sick. But playing the game, dude, I would win a game and be like, wow, that was the worst experience of my life. Like, I only found interest and love in playing Valorant when I was role playing in comms. When I was role playing as like a 50-year-old farmer dad, and I was just
what is wrong with you?
I'm just fucking with people.
Go play Minecraft or something. What are you doing?
I don't know, dude. It's so fun. There's one guy, especially if there's one guy that's flaming people. When there's one guy flaming one of my friends because he fucked up and around, and I'm like, I'm gonna shit on this guy. I'm just gonna be his name was Cumrag. I kept calling him Cumrag. I kept saying his name in every sentence. I was like, oh, your aim's looking pretty shit there, Cumrag. Pissing him off. It's using voice comms in that game for me, because I'm in a privileged position, was so fucking fun.
Yeah.
But playing the game sucked my soul out. So I was like, I can't do this. I was thinking maybe I could be interested in Valorant, but I was like, I can't do this. Like genuinely, I couldn't do it. So that's the thing. Is like, I think if there's ever another game that I find genuine love in, sure, like I can continue on in esports past League of Legends. But I would be more likely to go back to Calgary and try and find a normie thing, than to do something that I feel inauthentic about. That being said, thank God Faker's still playing the game and T1 is still as active as they are.
For another 3 more years.
You better believe it. This guy is going to be playing League when he's 50, and he's going to be feeding all of us. He's going to be feeding all of us. I swear, the international events are still bumping. Korean viewership is still bumping. LPL viewership, people will always be concerned about, but it is still, they're still loving and it's bumping. I think Europe right now you guys are doing amazing with the national leagues, but specifically the fact that you have the French fans going crazy, the Spanish fans going crazy, the LR fans going crazy. Yeah, it's insane. And so that is the type of fire that I am envious of. And right now in North America, we're obviously trying to figure it out and get that love in our new players. And I think the first weekend for North America was genuinely great. Yeah, I know people are talking about viewership stuff, but we rebranded back. I think if you rebrand 3 or multiple different times, it's gonna get fucking confusing. Genuinely. So we need to find stability. But week 1, the crowd was full both days. There was genuine excitement about the brand coming back. The games were amazing. The teams did a great job in terms of their actual branding, especially FlyQuest. So I think we're on a great path. So I'm pretty confident with the game specifically. Internationals are still going to be the lifeblood of everything we have. And so I think we're vibing. We're in a good spot. But always have to be ready for anything that could happen in life. True. There's so many. We've all been through some level of setbacks and grief, and last year had quite a few of personal problems back home. But then you got to keep trucking forward, and basically now we're in a great year. We're in a good spot.
Well, I feel like you've given a lot of people there's a lot of inspiration based on my negative question of, longevity of the game and have you got a backup plan? You're still as motivated as ever. I wanted to leave you on one last question before I get you to shut yourself out. It's a question I'll ask everyone as well, but this is something I've thought about recently. And it's if you could go back to your younger self when you were just starting out, and I mean a pivotal point of your life. Let's say it's end of high school. Let's say it's that point when you started researching League in university. Let's say it's the day of DDoS. Any of those days, would you go back to your younger self and tell yourself something that would jumpstart you or prepare you for your career ahead for where you are now? What would it be?
First thing is work smarter, not harder. Nice. I was always of the opinion of I'll do all these hours, do all X, Y, and Z. And I was wow, that was, and we're both in that boat. And it was not a lot of structure behind it. Got the job done, but it was a lot of grief in the process. So I feel I grow a lot faster in the last 5 years than I did in the first 5 easily because of that. And then also be intentional with the decisions that you make, have intention behind it. So, you can follow through. And a lot of I remember telling you at the beginning in 2019, short-term, mid-term, and long-term plans. A lot of those are things that were taught to me, being more structured. The years before with Spawn, he had very much the same Google document sheets of it was more detailed on the day-to-day, week by week on your current plans. And I was I love this. Having more intentions with every decision that you make. And there's technically no wasted time if you are committing to structure. Yeah. So the more structure, the better life is. So I would definitely say the first thing, which would be more intention in what you do, and work smarter, not harder, which is like, sounds general. And it sounds like even if I heard this from my 33-year-old self when I was like 20, I would wave it off and just do my own damn thing. But the moment you realize that you need that, it's God. I wish I could tell myself that back then.
You save a lot of hours.
And just trust yourself. While you're doing all of that, do what you want to do. At least try. Mm-hmm. At least try. If you're not in a position to do that economically, which is like, once again, I had a broke ass family. There was a time where I was in debt. There was a reason why I had to take a semester off to go to work, is because I realized my family wasn't going to pay off that tuition like they said they would, and I didn't have the money to do it. And so I couldn't go into the next semester. And the fucking university was like, send the loan sharks at him. I was like, oh my God, this is my fucking years in university? Me paying off loan sharks? So I was like, yeah, I realized right then and there, also needing to help some of my family because I had to my mom was going through some surgery. So I was like, I'm going to have to help them at night and do their night work. And I was looking at myself doing what am I doing with my life? I feel like it's being run by something else instead of me. And so that was when I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And if I don't have the time or the money to do it, I will at least work towards it. So when the time comes, I'll be ready. So that would be, I will try to tell them those three things. I will try.
Raz, thank you so much for
joining me.
I'm
not going to listen.
Thank you. But I think some people here will, chat, put your hands together for Raz. Thank you for coming last minute and dealing with the harassment from me over the past couple of days for the first episode. Bro, I appreciate you being here. And I think people can learn a lot from him as well. Tell us anything you got going on, anything you want to shout out, anything that's like, oh my God, you cannot believe I'm doing this.
Oh, LCS is back. Week 1 was fucking amazing. Week 2 will be even better. I am so happy. I'm very happy about that shit. So, and check out the Pros episode with Isles, Palafox, and Masu. It was a very good episode. I really enjoyed those guys. Some of them are silent, but they have a lot of opinions. And it's funny because Masu speaks like he is a 50-year-old because he's on the biggest Zoomer team of all time. He's genuinely, he's the second oldest person on that team. And he's having to deal with the Zoomies. That shit was funny.
And don't forget as well, twitch.tv/RazLol. I know you're still streaming from time to time. You have these random streams in the off season, but hopefully during season you can do a little bit as well. So, yeah,
that's the plan. I think today I will stream in 4 hours or something. So we'll do that. I promised that I would do that, so I have to.
All right, man. Thank you so much again. And I'll hang up on you because it's just what we do. I'll see you at the next international, I guess. Because that's
absolutely.
When we see each other.
Hell yeah. See you then, brother.
Good luck with your twerking, man. I appreciate for you not doing it here. Thanks, man. Thank God. Oh God. Oh God. I just turned the camera off as you did. Oh dear Lord. Okay. Okay, Raz. Bye.